Hello ladies, Scrap Basket Quilt here. I am trying to get back into the groove and get my stuff back together after suffering from a summer flu. Nasty stuff, but anyway, I still have a little bit of cough, so if I cough during this, I really apologize for that. But anyway, what I want to talk to you today about is hexagons, hexagon quilt tops, putting them together, actually the basics, some of the things that you'll need, and kind of a start to finish with regard to making something like this. It doesn't matter what the shape is, you can do whatever you want, but the basics for putting them together to get the shapes that you want, that you're looking for when you go to build your quilt top. So I have these. These are all handmade. Everything is done by hand sewing, no machine sewing in any of that. So before I start with the rest of that, what I wanted to tell you is this is assuming that you have basic knowledge or supplies of any kind of sewing, quilting, and you have things like these that can help you in your efforts to make a quilt top. Various kinds of rulers, different shapes, sizes, lengths, widths, and even a rotary cutter. A rotary cutter with a fresh blade. This is a cheap one. I've had it for years. Works really good. I got it at Joann's. And as far as the blades go, the first pack of refill blades that I ever bought was at Joann's, and I paid $37 for them. I have not done that since, and I will never do it again. So if you're going to get blades at Joann's, make sure you have a 50% off coupon. Otherwise, get them on Amazon in the refill packs of 5 or 10. So that said, now what I wanted to talk to you about was these papers. The English paper piecing papers. The ones that I make, actually I make my own, and I keep them in a bag. And how I make these is with a die cutter. The reason I chose to do that is because at the time when I was looking for papers for the size that I needed, and these are 1/2 inch size, it was going to cost me a fortune to get bags of 100 in order to complete my quilt top. And it was astronomical. It was going to cost me, like at the time, probably about $125. So what I did was I started looking for other ways to be able to do that myself. And I already had an AccuQuilt Go Baby. There are other die cutters out there. There's a Sizzix, and actually there is the Brother cutting machine. There's Cricut. There's the Cameo Silhouette, but I have the AccuQuilt Go Baby. It's a very simple, bottom of the line, and these dies, they make dies of all shapes, sizes, for whatever your heart desires, however you want to use it for applique or, you know, making quilt blocks. They have a die for it. So, and you can get the dies off of eBay, you can get the dies off of AccuQuilt Go, or some of the, I'm not very familiar with Brother cutting system or the Cameo Silhouette. I'm sure that maybe on their store or whatever you can find stuff like that in order to be able to cut. But for today, I'm talking about a die cutter and the dies. So this particular one that I have, made by AccuQuilt Go, this is for the baby, and the AccuQuilt Go, actually, the Go and the Go Baby, and it's for English paper piecing hexagon 1/2 inch finished size. And on here, what you're seeing is 2 different areas, and this one, this side is for paper, this side is for material. Now, the paper, there's like 6 areas. I don't know if you can see this very well, but there's like 6 of these on here. And I triple up my paper, so I usually get 18 per cut. I have not used the fabric size because I'm doing mine just a little bit different I don't cut my fabric all ahead of time and then just sew it together. I cut my fabric as I need it, depending upon the colors that I want to use for a specific block. So this is what I use, and this is, it has worked actually very well. My Go Baby, I bought it at an auction on eBay, and it hardly cost me anything. It was, I think, $46, and I won it, bid on it and won. So it was brand new, had never been used, and so I was really happy about that. The next thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the papers. Actually, I should have pulled this out before I started, but the paper that I use is not regular paper. This is going to look like nothing but paper, because actually that's what it is, but it's a very thick paper. It's like a cardstock paper, not quite as thick, but thick enough to be able to be used as a template. And this particular paper, I got this off of Amazon after doing some research on making templates, making your own templates. I went to Amazon looking for this paper, and I actually found it. It's made by Neenah, N-E-E-N-A-H. It's a Neenah Exact Vellum Bristol paper, and it comes in a pack of 250. It is acid free, so it doesn't have an effect on your fabrics. It is 8.5 by 11, like I said, and the part number for that is number 80211. So maybe in the Amazon search bar or wherever, you could probably punch that in with the name and be able to find it. So that has helped me greatly. Mine is all white. I think it comes in other colors if you want. That's up to you, but I chose white because it's easier to see for me, and just because that's what I got. So the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about now is thread. Thread that I am using on my particular piece is two different kinds of thread. This one is a cotton thread, and this one is a tri-lobal polyester thread. Excuse me. And this one, the cotton thread, I use it for basting, and this one I use for hand sewing. The polyester thread I use for hand sewing, and there's a reason for that. This particular cone is it's an Aurifil 50 weight thread, and I had bought this to make lace. Well, for whatever reason, my machine and my thread did not get along very well. They just hated each other, and I couldn't bear to throw this cone away. There was over 6,000 yards of thread on it, and so I saved it so I could use it for handwork. But so this is what I'm using to baste my Hexi pieces, the fabric to my templates. This, like I said, is what I'm using to hand sew my pieces together. It is a tri-lobal polyester. Why am I using that? The tri-lobal polyester, it does not tangle for me at all unless I accidentally stick my needle right through the thread and try to pull. Then yes, I'm going to get tangles, and every once in a while that happens. It's rare, but it happens. But this does not tangle for me. It works very well. This particular one is a variegated thread, and all that means is that there are various colors on this particular spool at varying lengths. The color changes, and I chose that out of my thread box because it matches my colors fairly well. Now, if you want to use cotton thread, you can. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I just had issues with, when I first started this, I had issues with it tangling. The cotton thread just drove me up the wall. It was maddening. Now, you can use wax, thread wax. I don't have any, I've never used it, but I hear it works really well. Like I said, this is a 50 weight. I have another one here. This one's made by Coats & Clark. This one is a 30 weight, so that means that it is thicker thread, and you can use that to baste. I wouldn't recommend really using a 30 weight to sew your pieces together, but you can definitely use it to baste. Whatever thread you have that you didn't know why you had it in a certain color, you know, use that. It's just something that you can see for thread basting. It doesn't matter. So, okay, with the thread, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about is a glue stick. I have here a Fons & Porter glue stick. It works very well. This particular glue comes in blue. It is refillable. It operates sort of like a mechanical pencil does, and what I use it for is to baste my English paper piece templates, my white Hexi paper, to my fabric to hold it in place so it doesn't slide around while I am trying to thread baste my fabric to my paper. So let me see what I got here. I'm gonna tear this one off. Here I have a small piece of paper, and then I have a Hexi piece. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean by this, how to use it, and how much easier it makes it. All you do is add a little bit of glue to the back, and then you place it face down on the wrong side of your fabric. Now if you get it in a place that you don't want it, or you want to straighten it up a little bit, you can pick this up and reposition it, and it works. It's good for once or twice repositioning. After that, you probably need to add more glue, but that's the idea, is to keep the paper on the fabric to keep it from slipping when you're trying to thread baste. And it does, like I said, it comes in the glue comes with refills, the pen, and when you run out of glue, you can get more. You can also get on Amazon. So okay, that's my glue. The next thing I want to talk to you about is needles. Different kinds of needles. This is just one pack of mini that I have, and there's all different sizes, shapes and sizes in here, and they all have different uses. What I use on my project now, there's two different needles that I use. I did start with this one in the center. It is a big long needle. I was using that for thread basting, but it is also a very thick needle, and it punches, you know, pretty big holes in my paper. So I stopped using that. So I got a smaller needle, and I use that one now for thread basting. Now I only use this one for thread basting because when you use your needle and you're punching it through your paper to sew your fabric to your paper to thread baste it, your needle will become dull over time, and that's not what you want to use to sew your fabric. You don't use it in your machine like that. You should always change your needles in your sewing machine after every project, so it would be the same here. And this particular needle, this is a milliner's needle, a straw needle, and this is what I use to sew all of my pieces together, hand sew them together like this, where you see them all together. So right now, that is the basics. I'm going to stop this video here, and then I'm going to come in with a part 2. But starting, this is how we start. This is some of the supplies that I use and the method that I have used to start my project. So ladies, coming up with part 2, happy quilting.